I want to welcome you all to the November meeting of the Design Review Board. We appreciate your participation in this process where we assist property owners in the overlay districts, historic districts, and Old Aiken overlay districts with improvements generally that are just visible from the street. We have a pretty full agenda tonight, but we're going to attempt to move along fairly rapidly. We've been over quite a few of these in our work session. And we also have two sets of minutes to review and approve, hopefully. The work session and regular meeting in October, and then also a special meeting October 10th. So if you board members would take a quick look at those minutes, we would entertain a motion for the last month's minutes.
Last month's minutes.
Second.
Okay, and that's for two separate meetings. As we said, October 1st and October 10th. Okay, all in favor, raise your right hand. Okay, and I think now we can let our secretary read our first item of old business. Now, you all may have been here before if you haven't. When she reads your application, you could come to this center lectern and then give your name and address, if you don't mind. Okay?
Okay, the first and only item of old business is application number CER H20-008. Applicant Ketan Patel requests approval for the addition of a concrete pad at a storage area and the demolition of masonry walls at Rose Hill, located at 221 Greenville Street Northwest. And just to note for the record, Mr. Patel amended his application. He withdrew the concrete pad element. So you're only reviewing the exterior wall, partial demolition and gate replacement, and the demolition of those interior walls.
Right. Okay, and we have an applicant representative here, I believe.
Yes, LaDonna Armstrong, 139 Greenville Street Northwest.
Okay.
On behalf of Mr. Patel.
Okay, good. Now, would you like to add anything
First and foremost, Mr. Patel is very sorry that he did not submit his application for these changes. I am representing him as a friend and am committed to him and the property, and will make sure that any future work is appropriately approved.
Good, thank you. And we had quite a bit of discussion, I guess, when we realized that the wall had, a portion of it had been taken down, and we do have some pretty good evidence of the cracking of the wall, that it was going to have to be repaired, if not taken down. So I think that's sort of an extenuating circumstance here. But we do want to reiterate the process of a historic property, is, I think you're aware, LaDonna, that we just have to submit changes that are on the street, obviously. Some of them, like we say, are evidently needed, like this particular gate that y'all have replaced. I think that's what we're seeing now, is the new
Yes.
the new gate. Does anyone have any other questions? Okay. I think it's
Well, I feel like the property is going to need continuing work on it. And, and I think the board is committed to seeing what's the right thing done for the property and the as well as the community. And so we are eagerly awaiting working in the future. So some of the stuff is pretty bad looking,
Yeah, and I think most people in the community are pleased that he's willing to invest in this property and try to maintain it. And then if you all can just stay in touch with us in terms of future repairs and changes, that'd be great.
Absolutely.
Thank you. And I'll ask if anybody else would like to speak, and let you sit back down. And if we have another question, we'll have you back up. Would anyone else like to speak with regard to this new gate, wider gate? It was a personnel gate. Now it's an automobile gate. Okay. I think we could have a motion if someone would care to make that.
I'd like to make a motion that we approve application CERH 20-008 without the concrete pad.
Thank you.
Second.
We have a motion second. Any further discussion?
You know, looking at the condition of the wall and the gate, I think we would have been here had we looked at it ahead of time. And looking at the finished product, it suits, you know, it looks appropriate, you know.
Right. And the only concern that they may have to come back to us with is the remaining wall that still leans slightly.
Right.
And has no footing. So we'll have to stay in touch with the owner and with LaDonna on that, I think. Good.
My only concern, I think, after thinking about it more, the gate that they put up is not really consistent with other gates we've seen on historical property.
But it is, so these are some of the other comparable gates on that property. That is the design that is currently featured in various places on that property.
Not the main house up at the front.
Right.
Those are a different design.
The other service gates are
Right.
similar, I think.
Right.
Okay. All righty, thank you. Okay, all in favor of of this particular application to repair and replace the gate, raise your right hand. Opposed? Okay, we have one opposed. Okay, thank you.
Okay, the first item of new business is application number CER D20-001018. Applicant Mickey Anaclerio of WTC of Aiken LLC requests approval for the demolition of the drive-through structure at 324 Richland Avenue West. It's tax map parcel 105-28-02-013.
Mickey Anaclerio, 916 Calhoun Place Southeast, Aiken,
Okay, okay,
and I'm representing WTC of Aiken
Good.
on this project. It is its own structure, its own plat, and we just want to remove that structure and just the footprint, go back with straw grass.
right. Okay. Pretty straightforward. I think we said that it's been abandoned for a couple of years now. And the bank that goes with it would be on another parcel, could be sold separately.
Correct.
This would have really little or no use like it is. And isn't a contributing property, I don't think.
Is not.
Okay, any other questions?
Yeah, does they have a maintenance plan so we don't have a bunch of weeds growing up there?
The plan is, as property manager, that I will keep it kept.
Okay.
I've actually kept it kept better than when the people were driving through throwing their receipts on the ground.
Good.
Yeah, good. I think we can trust you on that, Mickey. Okay, I'll ask if anyone else has an opinion about this. You're welcome to come forward. It's a pretty straightforward application, and don't hear any, so would y'all like to make a motion? Someone?
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion that we approve this request as written.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion second. Any further discussion?
You know, it's not a useful structure. It doesn't have any redeeming qualities that add to the character of Aiken. It just seems like a good idea to me.
Yeah, it's a vacant lot on a corner, which is generally not a good arrangement, good setup. So hopefully something more appropriate will be put there. All right,
It has no historical significance.
it has no,
No,
it wasn't,
And no known historical significance.
we don't think it was designed by Willis Irvin, right?
Right, I don't think so.
Okay. All right, okay. We have a motion and a second. All in favor of this application for demolition, raise your right hand. All righty. Okay. Thank you. Okay. Madam Secretary.
Okay. The second item of new business, item B, is application number CER H20-010. Applicant Scott Gunter of SouthPoint Roofing requests approval to replace the existing metal roof with architectural shingles at 721 Park Avenue Southeast. It's tax map parcel 121-10-25-002. The board approved the replacement of what may have been the original kind of unique diamond pattern shingles back in 2005 with this metal roof, but there have been some significant leakage issues, so the request is that the property be returned to shingles.
To what was originally there, I guess, but in a standard, is it an architectural shingle?
Place an architect shingle, yes, sir.
Good, good. Can you give your name? I'm sorry.
I'm
your-
sorry, Scott Gunter, SouthPoint
Gunter.
Roofing, Aiken.
Great, just for our record.
Yes, sir.
Good. Does anyone have any questions? We've
Just
had
a
couple
quick
more
one.
Yeah, go ahead.
So we're still looking at the application from the special session, and you're not planning to remove the chimney, is that correct?
No, ma'am, we just continue removing the chimney. We're able to cap it and seal it to keep the leak from coming inside with the chimney.
So
Yeah,
it's
we'll-
just the roofing material is all we're voting on today.
Correct, correct.
Yeah. Yeah, so when y'all make the motion, I think that would have been in the original description,
Originally, we were going to.
but it's not on our
Yeah.
summary.
Yeah, before the special meeting that was scheduled, the applicant clarified that he would like that scope of work removed. So
Good.
we've advertised everything accordingly.
Sure.
Just the roof.
Okay. Well, I hope you can help this lady here that has had the buckets.
Yeah, she's got
set
several
up.
5-gallon buckets in the
Yeah,
house.
yeah, okay, good. We'll see if anyone else would like to speak with regard to that, where
Well,
we're
I'd
changing.
like to
Oh, you got a
say,
comment?
I appreciate you saving that chimney, even though it was a possible problem, because it does have character.
Yeah, we
with
were
the
able to
unique
put a sealant
design.
on it and to cap it, so, I mean, the chimney's non-functional, it's just
Right.
aesthetic more than anything, but we were able to save it.
Good. Okay,
Thank you.
all righty, thank you. Anyone else want to speak with regard to this? It's a replacement roofing, obviously, of a leaking metal roof. Okay, motion, anyone?
Mr. Chairman, with respect to certificate application number H20-010, I move that we approve the application, so much of the application that refers to the replacement of the roof, the metal roof with shakes.
Second.
Okay, any further discussion? In favor of this application, raise your right hand. Okay, good, it's approved. Yeah, thank you. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Get his name.
Okay. The item C of new business is application number CER H20-013. Applicant Mickey Anaclerio of ARC Properties of Aiken LLC requests approval for the replacement of all windows at 243 York Street Southeast. It's tax map parcel 121-29-07-003.
I'm going to make Mr. Anaclerio give us his name again.
Mickey Anaclerio, 916 Calhoun Place Southeast, Aiken.
You haven't moved in the last 15 minutes.
Long time no see. All good.
Okay. Good. I see that you have brought facsimile of the,
Yes, and it is from the work session we talked in earlier. We are talking, this is Milt, by the way, from Pella Windows. But it is an aluminum clad window
okay,
as opposed to the vinyl. But it is a wood window, and this has just been an ongoing thought process for many years. And with the pictures that you see, I mean, it's long overdue. But again, with the age of this structure, it was something not going to be cheap, but that doesn't have anything to do with it. But just something. I know I'm going to have to paint the outside of the windows, and like on that one, the centerpiece. But this will give. It's going to make the house set off for one thing. But not only the maintenance, but we want to find a window that would be acceptable to the design review board, but lower maintenance with me. And I will just add to it that even though this is just a facsimile, the grid pattern for each window will be the same. Most of them are the 6/6s, but like I said, on the dormers, I think those are 2/2s. They'll match every window we take out. We'll go in.
Mickey, do you think, is that an old photograph, or have you looked at the oldest photographs of it? And were they 6/6s originally?
Yeah, see 6/6s, all those original, but see at the top?
Yeah.
Those are all, actually they're 4/4s.
4/4.
Yeah, you don't, if you go in there, I think I'm speaking for the board here, but if you go in there and you realize you've got a 1950s 6/6, you don't have to duplicate that.
Yeah, and we've got discussion. The building next door was built by my grandfather after 1951, I believe.
Right.
So it's not part of the historical, but I would get with Mary Catherine just to be sure. I'm not sure if I'm going to do those windows at the same time, but those would fall into that category. I think the only windows, there might be a couple on the back that are like the newer style, but I got to tell you, you can tell how many times the house has been added on to, but each time.
Correct. Yeah, if you can determine what the original grid pattern was, and most of the time it was 2/2, I think. Maybe not on this
It's
one.
been like that for.
Yeah. We know that adds cost the more of these things you add in. So it's
But that's
not,
the key to this application, I believe. I mean, because if I tried to change the grid pattern, I don't think.
no, I'm not saying change. I'm just saying if you want to duplicate what you can determine in a photograph,
The original.
what it was originally, don't go out of your way to duplicate something put into the
There are some old
50s.
pictures, but I've never noticed them being different. They just always seem to
A
be.
6/6 sounds like a whole bunch of,
If you have pictures, we can duplicate those.
yeah, that's all.
I've got some,
I think I'm giving you latitude that all of us would
I
agree with.
appreciate that, and I
'Cause
will work with Mary
it
Catherine.
looks like some windows have been replaced up there since the house was built,
Yes, sir.
so.
I feel like it would.
If they change the grill pattern and the photographs go along with it, we have to go back before the board.
We can
No,
add it in
no.
there.
But I think as
No,
long
you
as I
don't.
talk to Mary Catherine, and then she
No.
can determine if I need to go.
Right.
That's the plan, because let me tell you, as we've talked about, as we get into this, and I think I've said this before, as we call it the York House affectionately, nothing's square, nothing's plumb. So until you actually take one out, we'll see.
That brings up the next question, because this fits into the existing frame.
Yes.
And so there may be some reworking of the frame, and then there's also a kind of a casing in there on the old frame that butts up to the stucco.
And we've investigated that, but the idea is, the integrity of what you see from the road is what I'm going by.
We may have to, I don't know if it'll be necessary in a motion, but to give you permission to rework some of that existing
Framing.
sill in particular, because I can't imagine all that frame is in good shape.
I mean, I'm prepared for it to be not as easy as it sounds.
Yeah, so I notice,
Been there, done that.
I notice that existing frames actually be retained and ultimately repainted, so we may have to give you some latitude.
Well, I
on that.
appreciate that. And again, I'll stay up with that
Yeah.
project, because this won't be done by Christmas naturally, so.
Okay.
Several months.
All righty. Well, thank you. Yeah, thank you for bringing it back.
Looks like a literature on that picture window for your file.
I'll take a copy.
Yeah.
I brought 7, so you can share.
Okay, thank you.
Oh, thank you.
Very much. Great.
Sorry.
We can, we will, thank
We
you.
can share.
Okay. Thank you. Now, we probably ought to just ask if anyone would like to speak with regard to his window project. If you've seen that house, you kind of understand his problem. And it is a historic, about 1850 apparently, right?
Well, there are conflicting dates on that.
Yeah,
We've got
I thought it
circa
was older than
18
1907.
And then,
Yeah,
Definitely is that, but
yeah,
it's been added on, like just the basic front part of it is the original house.
yeah, okay,
And I believe it was in here.
yeah. All right, now, I think we could have a motion now.
for the record, I did receive a comment of support from a neighboring property. Miss Pamela Thornton called to
Okay, great.
share her.
And that's going to be an exhibit, or you'll record that opinion.
You recorded in the minutes. It wasn't a written comment. She called
Oh,
and delivered it over the phone.
I see, okay. All righty, motion, anyone?
Yeah, I'd like to make a motion on application H20-013 to approve as submitted with the ability to match original photographs if found without resubmitting to the board.
And,
Also, the ability to make repairs to the frame if necessary.
right,
If major repairs are made, it may be something that needs to come administratively.
yeah,
Second.
and a second. Any discussion?
When I'm reading through this, it doesn't say simulated divided light, but I'm assuming the window you had was a,
Simulated divided light with a space remark between.
Yeah.
I thought it was, I just didn't see it. in
And the one we just saw
comments.
was,
Yeah.
I think, yeah. Good point. All righty?
Yeah, I would suggest that if they do find old photographs and they want to use a different grid pattern, that it be administratively approved. I don't think that was part of the motion, was it?
It was not.
No, wasn't, okay.
All right, y'all understand the motion, and, good. Any other
I
discussion?
propose that we amend the motion to include that.
Okay, you want to vote on that?
Yes.
On the amendment?
Yes.
Okay,
Second that if that's what's required.
okay, all in favor of the amendment? All right, good. Okay, now we can go back to the amended motion. And all in favor of this? We've held him off for a number of years, and obviously he's needed to replace the windows before now.
Right.
But until we had a good replacement window kind of before us, I think we were hesitant to make that kind of a change. All in favor, raise your right hand. Okay, good. Yes, sir,
Thanks,
thank you.
D of new business, application number CER H20-014. Applicant Greg McCarley requests approval for the installation of solar panels on the roof of the squash court structure located at 501 Newberry Street Southwest. That's tax map parcel 105-12-18-005.
Okay,
Hey, y'all, I'm Greg McCarley with McCarley Construction. I'm representing the Youngs, and we're requesting to put solar panels on the squash court.
okay. Okay, does anybody have any further questions. I think we discussed it in the work session, and you explained that it'll pretty much cover the squash court roof itself.
It's like that.
Both sides, I guess that's east and west.
So, Mr. McCarley, I know we discussed this earlier, but I'd like to clarify it in here. Were there any discussions about not putting solar panels on the roof and putting them somewhere else on the property?
They would prefer not to do that. It's a horse property. Good chance it would probably spook a horse. They do ride horses in there.
And Mr. McCarley, you have to have it on both sides of the squash court. You can't just, having it on the side away from the street wouldn't,
Well, we'd like to produce as much energy as we could.
I'm going to ask a technical question about what is the distance from the existing roof shingle to the top of your panel? Do you know? Is it
Maybe
4 inches?
4 inches.
Okay.
Yes, they're-
Water is still allowed to flow under them?
It does.
Okay. Any other questions? Okay, thank you. We'll
Thank you.
see if anyone else wants to speak.
Mr. Chairman, members of the board, I'm Wilkins Bird, 434 Berry Road. I'll try to be brief. I just wanted to speak in favor of the Young's application. In short, it seems to me, and I realize this is subjective, but seems to me that the proposal does not affect the overall historic character of the property in the terms of the Secretary of the Interior's regulations and recommendations for alterations involving panels. I remember a previous instance when a proposal for panels was offered, and I suspect this is old news to all of you, but an interesting precursor, you might say, to the panel structure, I would submit, is the presence of extensive skylight structures on some of Aiken's extraordinary indoor tennis court buildings. The closest one, of course, is the Mead Tennis Court on 3rd Avenue, which has massive skylights. They're not identical to solar panels, but I think they're an interesting parallel, both using the sun's energy for related, if not identical, purposes. Anyway, I won't belabor it. I just wanted to offer those points and respond to any questions or dispute that I may have caused.
That's an interesting comment. It seems to me like the squash court right across the street doesn't have skylights across the top. Am I imagining that?
That may well be. That may well be.
Right? They may be painted over.
the Joy Cottage squash court, is that the one you're talking about?
No, I'm talking about it's not a squash court, it's an indoor tennis.
Oh,
Seems like it does, but maybe not.
no,
Yeah,
I think that one, the one on 3rd Avenue does, yeah.
yeah,
Yes.
yeah, you're right. Okay,
Well, thank you.
good comment. Anyone else? Okay, would someone care to make a motion?
Mr. Chairman, with respect to certificate application number H20-214, I move that we approve the application as submitted.
Second.
Any further discussion?
And I'd just like to comment that the precedent for this is that we recently approved solar panels for the Joy Cottage stables, and we approved also for a house up by the Wilcox, and of course the Young's house has solar panels as well.
Right. And if somebody doesn't like them and wants to remove them, they can be removed. The shingles still there, yeah. Okay. All righty, we have a motion and a second. All in favor of this application, raise your right hand. Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Now, we have next application.
E, application number CER H20-015. Applicant Chris Lee Eaton requests approval for the removal of a second-story screen porch and exterior stairway, demolition of a shed, replacement of aluminum siding with cement fiberboard, and repairs to the roof, chimneys, and drainage systems as needed at her home located at 522 Coker Springs Road, tax map parcel 105-12-10-001. And for the record, the removal of the shed should be removed from the scope of work being approved by the board because it is not visible from right-of-way.
Okay, good.
Chris Eaton, I guess I'm now at 522 Coker Spring Road, Aiken.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you for coming in tonight. You told us a little bit about your approach to this and your reasoning, but I guess if you have anything else you want to add, I believe you're attempting to restore a garage that now has been covered over by a porch and stairs and
Correct, yes.
it's
At
kind of
this point
unsightly.
in time, given the amount of information I know about the building and the property, having done some historic research, but have not done forensic, physical investigation at this point. I've not been allowed to touch it with a hammer yet, since I'm not living there yet. This is where we're going to begin with the restoration of the building and the property.
Now, we didn't have time to talk much in the work session, but there is an apartment up there now. Is that right? Above the garage?
It was used as an apartment before. There is another kitchen, a second kitchen on the second floor in the servants' L. Yes, and we are not going to use it that way.
But the porch really couldn't have been there
Oh,
with the
no.
garage.
No.
So-
Yeah, the garage doors are under where the staircase is.
Was there another stairway to that apartment inside, maybe?
Aside from the kitchen doorway
Okay.
area, yes.
I see.
So there were always two staircases in the house, the main front staircase and the servants' staircase.
Yeah, yeah. So there's another way to get to that. If you take this stair off, you still have access to your...
Correct.
To your, quote, apartment. Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah, okay. I was just
Yeah.
curious about the,
There's a door that
Logistic.
separates, that if that was locked, there used to be two means of egress for the servants' cell,
Yeah.
but not two means of egress for the main house.
is that right? Okay,
So
okay. Guess
if
they
it's
could
open,
escape
it
through the
services
servants.
everyone, yeah. But the original garage
Yeah.
actually was accessed from the north, not from the west. So we'll see when that actually changed.
So 1985, there were a lot of stuff, looks like added on for better or worse.
In the back, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, all right. Do y'all have questions?
Mr. Chairman, I'd just like to comment that restoring the garage with a garage door will probably require a separate application, and we would probably like to see what
Yeah.
the garage doors would look like.
You're not quite there yet till you take, you don't even
No,
really know the
opening
width.
is there, and there
Yeah.
are windows that have been inserted to fill the opening.
Yeah, can you do
And there's
that?
an apron, but yes,
Can you bring back an elevation then when you get ready to,
absolutely. I have a few other things to take care of before then, like a brick wall.
major one, yeah.
I don't think that requires an application, though,
I don't believe so.
You don't-
but
unless
I
you're
don't
going to
know.
change it.
Make a steel
Yeah.
wall or something, rubber wall. Okay,
Well, and it is a process, so that is the plan as of
Yeah.
today.
Yeah.
And whether we restore that additional garage or restore the original garage. I don't know quite where we're going to go until
Keep us-
I'm there.
Yeah, keep us apprised, because it is a real important contributing property. And
I did apply before I owned the building
Yeah.
for this meeting, just so
Oh, did
you
you?
know.
So you really are a new owner then?
Yes,
Okay,
sir.
I was going to ask you how long you'd owned it.
I think 10 days.
Okay, so they've only knocked the wall down once since you bought it.
Only once since I've owned it.
Yeah, because it's been knocked down about 3 times in the last,
Calendar year, yes.
Year, I
Last
believe.
December was the first
Yeah.
big blowout.
yeah, maybe we can approve some historic bollards
Please,
out
I'm all for it.
her. Okay.
I'm all for it.
Our drivers are getting worse in this state, I believe. Okay, now, if y'all don't have questions, then I think you've filled us in a lot
Okay,
here.
good.
And then just keep us posted as you remove. You can talk with Mary Catherine anytime.
Well, I would
Right.
like to compliment the applicant because she's done extensive research.
Yeah.
In determining what would be appropriate for the property and trying to track down exactly when,
Yeah.
what addition
Yeah.
was added when. And she's added significantly to the folder, the research folder that we have
Oh, good.
for the.
Well, now Sally
property.
Wyman is, you know her probably now. Yeah.
Well, I know of her, I haven't met her.
Yeah, that was her home, her house growing up. Sally, her name is now
Brody.
Brody, Sally Brody, yeah. Good, thank you. We'll see if
Okay.
anyone else here would
Shall I
like
stay
to.
up? I can go.
You can, yeah, I think you've told us the,
Okay, good. Oh, but we
Current-
did discuss where the stairs come off, there's a door, and we will put a window in where the door was, so
Yeah.
someone doesn't launch into the woods,
yeah, we'll,
which will
Sure.
replicate the other window. It'll
Sure.
be the same.
yeah, so you have
That's
a way
what's
to
there.
close that
Yeah.
opening. I'm just trying to think through that part of it. Maybe you bring back that part with Mary Catherine. This board will make a motion in a minute about, it sounds like they want the board to see the whole facade when you decide what it's going to be. Yeah. Good, thank you.
Thank you.
Ms. Eaton. Now, would anyone else like to speak with regard to the house, not the wall? Then we'll have a motion.
Mr. Chairman, with respect to application H20014, I move that we accept it as written, as submitted.
Mr. Chairman, I would like to offer an amendment. I guess we need a second first. I'll second and offer an amendment.
Okay.
And the amendment is that any windows that will replace the door in the screen porch be presented, the design be presented for administrative approval.
Okay, because that'll be a new construction replacing something. Uh-huh.
Yeah, so
Okay.
as you said, we'd like to see what it looks like.
Yeah.
Yeah, or you'd like to see.
And
what it looks
then, I'll let you leave that, we'll vote on that amendment then. Okay, all in favor of the amendment, raise your right hand.
Was it seconded?
Second.
Yeah, Lucy seconded.
No, I
But
seconded.
then I made the
The
amendment.
amendment.
Yeah, she seconded and made the amendment.
Well,
That has to be
But we needed
she's
to-
asking.
Josh came back and seconded.
Yeah,
We're
original.
good.
We're good.
Second, the amendment. Now, we're going to vote on the amended motion and making a distinction between the replacement of a door opening with a window for safety reasons, and then later, I believe the consensus here is that the whole board see the eventual elevation with doors, garage doors.
With garage doors,
Yeah.
yeah. We're just talking about the temporary.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, just to fill in the hole. Good, all right, and then we've got a motion, and you seconded the first motion. Got an amended motion on the table. All in favor of the application, raise your right hand. Okay, it's unanimous, good. Okay,
Right. Item F of new business, application number CER H20-016, Applicant Friends of the Aiken County Public Library requests approval for renovations to the front and rear entryways of the Aiken County Public Library branch located at 314 Chesterfield Street South, tax map parcel 121-09-03-001. And I would like to state for the record, the applicants have narrowed down that we originally presented 2 options to you in the staff report and the application. They've requested that you only consider option B. So you can disregard option A.
And we have an applicant here.
Hi, good evening. I'm Mary Jo Dawson, 314 Chesterfield Street Southwest, Aiken, 29801. And I appreciate the opportunity to be with you. We did appear before you at a work session last month. And as you have heard from Mary Catherine, we have firmed up our approval behind the staircase with the flared opening. But I just want to begin by saying that our primary driver for these changes is to make the entryways, the back and front entryway into the Aiken County Public Library safe and compliant, ADA compliant and compliant with building codes.
Right.
So that's why we're here tonight. That's what we want to do. We get more than 225,000 patron visits a year into that building. And we just want to be sure that people get in and out of that building comfortably, safely. So we appreciate it.
Okay. You know, we've had several opportunities to see the design, the conceptual design, and I guess pretty soon some actual construction drawings. I was going to ask, I know that y'all just spent a lot of time and money, the county did, putting a new elevator in the old shaft back there. And this now we're going to try, this improvement on the rears to try to make that more practical.
That's right, to make it
entry.
right. Yes, exactly. So the folks who enter in the improved rear entrance here, they will be going into that elevator that you just described. So we'll still be utilizing that elevator. And you can see we've got handrails that we've added to the handicap ramp that leads up to that door. We currently do not have any handrails there now. So it's
Okay. And it occurred to me after we went out there and looked at it and then driving by it, there might, another option could be to add a new elevator. I think you just got that one replaced, but on the south side and a set of stairs there. Is there a set of stairs coming down there now on that south side that goes to the big parking lot? It used to be a set of stairs. Maybe there still is.
parking lot that faces the water tower, and there's a fire escape.
Okay, it's just a steel stair, I believe,
Yes,
isn't it?
right.
Yeah.
Correct.
Okay. Did anybody, including the architect, consider whether there would be another place to put an elevator?
Well, we certainly are investigating that possibility.
Okay.
So, you know,
Yeah.
we have these conceptual drawings have been available to the public in our front at periodical room, and we're getting a lot of questions about that. So it does behoove us at this point to study that issue.
Yeah, I think when we reviewed the historic, well, it's actually the ADA criteria that encourages, if at all possible, that the elevator be, I guess you'd say, easily identified and accessible from the front.
Correct.
This being the front, I suppose. But the other side could be also visible and wouldn't have all these grade changes that you encounter, which actually is quite a trek. For someone in a wheelchair,
Right.
they almost need somebody it's not something an individual in a wheelchair by themselves can even, maybe they can negotiate that, I don't know. But, yeah, I don't know how often people use those.
Those back doors?
Yeah, they have a,
Yeah, they're used
if you have somebody to push
throughout
you,
our
I guess you
service
can do
day.
that.
Yes.
That was just a thought, that you got this door and actually put a potential place for another stair too. And you haven't, that hadn't been your primary focus, I know, up to now.
No, but, I mean, we have a wonderful architectural firm, McMillan, Paston Smith, and we have a team, they have a team that specializes in library architecture, so we are certainly continuing to study that issue. And we'll see if that pans out or where that leads us to,
Okay.
because there certainly has been some public interest in it, so.
Yeah, all righty.
But for now, what we have tonight, right now, is just request for approval of this. And, you know, our goal with the front and back entrance is that we are going to pick durable materials for these entranceways, and they will also be in keeping and maintain the historic integrity of the building and the appearance. We know it's an iconic and cherished structure in the community, and we don't want that to change.
And we also recognize that most of what you're changing was just put there in the last 20 years, I think.
30 years, actually.
30
but
years,
yes,
when it was converted for
yes.
the library?
That's correct.
Okay.
When it changed, when it was adaptively reused and
Right.
moved from being Aiken Elementary School to the Aiken County Public Library.
That thing, that current stair and porch and everything is
It's
30
not,
years.
right. It's not original.
And the brick doesn't even match, yeah.
That side of the building is 1914. It's called the Henderson Annex, and that is not original. And in fact, I think when we looked at it together, you pointed out the difference to me in the bricks, which are quite evident.
So it really isn't so much an issue, I don't think, with our board because of that. And either way, the building inspection department could demand that you change the steps, I think.
I think so.
Yeah.
I think we're lucky that we're
Yes.
making the decision and not having this decision thrust upon us.
Yeah, that's correct.
So I'm
Okay,
excited
just wanted to
about that.
clarify that. Good.
You know how long the construction's gonna take, and is there only gonna be access either through the elevator or through the stairs, or?
Yes, I mean, I think it's expected to take, golly, I'm looking at Barbara Price, who's here with us from the architectural firm. Are we thinking it would be 3 to 4 months or am I? Probably. Yeah, I think what I've seen is in maybe January, if we can get started, we'd like to get started by January of 2020 and then finish it in the spring. And we would phase it so that there's always going to be, an entrance available into the building.
It'll be tricky. And now I'm recalling why I thought about that south side entrance.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
It's tricky, but we overcame the elevator challenge, operating for 16 months without the elevator. So I think we can manage this one too.
Okay.
But thank you.
Good. Okay. Thank you. We'll ask.
Much.
We may have had somebody who wanted to speak as well. I hope he's not speaking in opposition, but come forward here and give us your name officially, please.
Bill Reynolds, I'm the president of the Friends of the Library. I live at 252 Old Market Street. And I'd like to just talk to your point about an elevator in the front. There's two things that I want to mention to you, because we did some surveys. We did gave the public an opportunity to give us input. And one of the things we heard loud and clear was they would like to have a more accessible entrance from the front. And so we've been kicking that around, but there was one thing that we weren't sure about, and I'm glad this has come up tonight. We would have to really modify the exterior of that building to have an elevator shaft, and we didn't know how the board would feel about that. There's two places we could either on the south side, but then the other place is in the middle between the two buildings, and there's strong interest developing in doing something about the north wing. And so that could become a viable part of the library. And so between the two wings would be a natural place for an elevator, but there's other issues, including what it looks like from the exterior. So if the board has any point of view about, having to change the facade to accommodate an elevator, that would be most helpful for us at this time.
Sure. That's, you're speaking of the front, I believe, is the side that faces the water tower.
No, the front would be where the stairs come down.
That's what you mean by the front, and so I know that where the two structures are connected, that was one, there's a fire stair in there that needs to be dealt with. Right. I suspect, and there might be some floor level changes too, but now this side where you do have a current door, it's in the bottom right. It's actually image D on the bottom right of a handout, I think. I think that is the south. There it is right there, bottom right, Bill. Okay, that's, that's very visible. Whatever you built would be very obvious. Right. That you've got some talented architects.
But if we did that, then if anybody that wanted to use the north wing would have to walk and needed an elevator, they would have to either walk all the way through the library or come in through that back entrance. So that's why we were thinking about the middle.
Yeah, but I think you
on that same inset in A, right there to the left of the porch.
Yeah.
Is that an elevator shaft?
Yeah.
Right here?
No, to the left, on the next one to your
It's
left.
stuck in there, yeah.
Yeah.
This is the back. This is the back of the building.
And that's the elevator now?
This is the elevator's entrance now.
Right.
So on the back of the building.
Right.
This is an option here. This is where that stairwell is.
Okay, that's one option. But I think to address what you just said, you're concerned that if there was another organization in the old, how would they get to the, well, I would think you just use the old elevator to get in there.
Fall back into that same trap. People don't want to use it.
Well, no. I mean, I'm looking at it from the standpoint of the Friends of the Library, and you've got presumably a lot of public that would benefit. At least you'd get 2/3 of your visitors in a more visible entrance. We don't know who those other people are going to be, and perhaps you have more. You'll have more coming and going than during the day than an office.
But how would the board feel about that? An elevator on the water tower side of the building. I mean, it would be very apparent.
Yes, it would.
Would that be acceptable? Because it is a contributing property.
It is, but you're allowed, when you have issues with ADA, we're required to give special consideration. And it would be a sensitive kind of thing. You'd have to, the architect, you couldn't get a contractor, no offense to contractors, but just to do it, you'd have to think through how it's going to do. Do y'all see that side?
It would have to look like it wasn't a part of the original library, wouldn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Mr. Chairman,
I think it'd be very obvious it wouldn't.
The Secretary of the Interior has pretty extensive guidelines on how to modify historic structures to accommodate
Yeah.
accessibility concerns. I'll share those with you, and that might generate some.
I'm thinking about the other options that are not necessarily good, that y'all have lived with them and dealt, but I know people don't really favor the current location. You've spent some money getting the new elevator, which you probably need for the old part anyway. But this side is so accessible for the majority of the parking, and I think you just make almost a separate little, I don't want to design it, but I think there's a way to do things like that. It's a very plain, it looks like it's kind of missing a porch or something that could have been there before.
On the second floor.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of a stark thing with the old fire escape. Probably needs to be addressed anyway. That may have to be the secondary entrance while you're tearing the other one down.
Make
right?
another comment just about that, just in terms of, I mean, that certainly is something worth looking into and working with our architectural firm. One of the appealing things to me about having the location in the two places Mr. Reynolds described is you're basically bringing, the elevator is bringing visitors into the area that is staffed. Everybody's kind of coming into the central area within eye view.
Right.
I would say one of the challenges to locating it on the south side is you are going to have an elevator coming and going that is not close to where our staff points are. So that is something that we just have to be mindful of too, because, you know, if you're building a library today, a purpose-built library, you're going to have one way in and one way out.
Well, I'm just.
You know, so that is one of the challenges, is you want to make sure you're bringing people into the building and in an area that is visually, you know, accessible. So that's, but we've got a wonderful design team we're working with that can look at these different.
Yeah, I didn't know where your desk was going to be in the final.
But this has been a very helpful discussion. Thank you for your time helping us with that, because we've been struggling with it, and we're going to meet with the county on Friday. So, no, that's very helpful, kind of having an idea of how you're thinking about it.
You know, they could have
Thank you.
standalone elevator with a bridge over to the building.
Yeah, yeah, so we're sort of open,
you kinda
we
see
understand
that.
your problem, and we're just saying we're open to your alternatives there.
You kind of see
Probably
that
not
in
a good
airport parking lots and that kind of places.
Okay.
And that way it doesn't mess up the building.
Now, we've got, anyone else want to speak? Yay or nay? Okay. All right, let's go ahead and have a motion, if you don't mind.
Make a motion that we approve application H20-016, concept B.
Second.
Okay. No amendments. All righty. Any other discussion? All right, all in favor of the application to replace these non-conforming stairs on the front, and then if they wish to, they can modify the site in the rear for the existing elevator entrance. All in favor of that application, raise your right hand. Okay. Now, we have two more items, I believe, is that right?
One.
One?
Yes.
Two more items on the agenda, but one, I don't know which one.
Okay. Item F of new business is application number item G of new business is application number CERH20-017.
Yes.
Applicant Bobby Ann Hines requests approval to replace and modify the roof to address water damage concerns at her house located at 253 Florence Street Northwest, tax map parcel 104-20-15-002.
Good evening. My name is Jerry Hayes. I'm representing Bobby Hines. And we put in an application for an extension of a roof. We're in bad need of it. An overhang, you might say, all the way around the house with gutters. We're having problems with water running into the window, so
yeah,
we want to extend that, and still with the same color scheme as the stucco to try to make it look original if we can. And then, of course, after that's done, put architectural shingles back on it, just replace that. So that's what we're looking for.
And this is contributing, and apparently it was just a sort of substandard kind of construction, even in most houses in 1945 had some overhang.
Yeah,
so
right.
I think y'all have proved that the reason. So I think we fully understand your problem, and I know you said you might have to phase the work, but yeah, I think it's very clear what your issues are, and even though it's contributing, it needs to be modified.
Yes, it does.
Yeah,
yes.
okay.
So.
Good. Any other questions? No, I don't see any. We'll see if we have some other folks who want to comment. Thank you. Uh-huh. We'll have a motion in just a few minutes. Any other comment? No? Okay, let's have a motion, and then we can discuss if we need to.
Make a motion that we approve the application as written.
Second.
Okay. I believe it's pretty straightforward what he's asking, and it's pretty straightforward what needs to occur to protect the structure from damage. So
even though it's a contributing property, and this will be a noticeable change to the facade of the house, I think that we need to think about protecting the house too.
yeah, that's right. It's not appropriate to have a zero overhang. Good. All right. We have the motion and second. All in favor of the application as submitted, raise your right hand. Okay. Good. I think that's.
Okay, I will publish the final item. It has been withdrawn, but that was application number CER H20-018. Applicant David Stinson requested approval for a small addition at the southeastern corner of his house located at 560 Newberry Street Southwest. It was tax map parcel 105-12-17-016. Again, that has been withdrawn.
Don't need to continue with anything. It'll come back, perhaps. All right. Do I hear a motion to adjourn?
So moved.